Welcome to Don Bosco in a Year podcast.
Day 25. Holidays were dangerous times for clerical students. In those days, our summer break ran to 4.5 months. I spent a lot of time reading and writing, but not knowing how to organize myself properly. I got little out of it. I tried different kinds of handicrafts as well. On the lathe, I turned spindles, pegs, spinning tops, and wooden balls. I made clothes and shoes, and I worked on wood and iron. To this very day, there are in my house at Murialdo a writing desk, a dinner table, and some chairs, masterpieces, to remind me of my summer holiday activities. I worked in the fields too, harvesting hay and wheat. I trimmed the vines, harvested the grapes, and made the wine, and so on. I found time for my youngsters as I used to, but this was possible only on feast days. It was a great consolation for me to catechize many of my companions who were 16 or 17 years old, but were deprived of the truths of the faith. I also taught some of them quite successfully to read and write. They were so anxious to learn that many youngsters of a variety of ages surrounded me. I charged no tuition, but I insisted on diligence, concentration, and monthly confession. At first, some were not inclined to accept these conditions. They went their own way, but their departure served to inspire and spur on those who stayed. I also began to preach and to lecture with the permission of my parish priest, and with his help, in Alfiano, I preached on the Holy Rosary in the holidays after my years of physics. In Castelnuovo di Asti, at the end of my first year of theology, I spoke on Saint Bartholomew, the Apostle. In Caprelio, I preached about the Nativity of Mary, but I do not know how much fruit this bore. Everywhere I got high praise. In fact, vainglory somewhat carried me away, till I was brought down to earth as follows. One day, after my sermon on the birth of Mary, I asked someone who seemed to be one of the most intelligent what he thought of it. He was full of praise for it, but spoiled it by saying, "Your sermon was on the souls in purgatory, and I had preached on the glories of Mary." The parish priest of Alfiano, Joseph Peleto, was a learned and holy man. I also asked for his opinions of my sermons there. "Your sermon," he said, "was very good. It was well put together, were delivered and embellished with scriptural quotations. Go on like that, and you will be a success as a preacher." "Did the people understand it?" I asked him. "Hardly," he replied. "Only my brother priest and I, and perhaps a few others, knew what it was about." "How is it?" I wanted to know. that such simple concepts were not understood? To you, they are simple, he explained. But to ordinary people, they appear difficult. Allusions to the Bible, philosophizing on one or another aspect of church history are things the people do not understand. What do you suggest I do? Give up your high sounding language and stick to dialect, where possible, and when you use Italian, speak the language of the people. Instead of speculations, use examples, analogies, and simple, practical illustrations. Bear in mind always that the common people understand hardly anything you have to say because the truths of the faith are never sufficiently explained to them. This fatherly advice has served as a guiding principle for the rest of my life. I still have copies of those early sermons in which, of my shame, I can now see nothing but affectation and vanity. But God, in His goodness, saw to it that I should have that kind of correction. It was a lesson for me, which henceforth bore fruit in my sermons, catechism classes, instructions, and in the writing in which I began to engage.
Thank you for joining us today on this journey to know Don Bosco. May these reflections deepen our faith, guide us closer to God each day, and hope to see you all tomorrow. Till then, keep seeking, keep praying, keep growing.